out there. Okay? Okay, so today we're going to go over ogive curves, or cumulative frequency graphs. I like the term ogive a little better, so I think about it like that. We need to think about, in this case, we need to think about percentiles. We're going to go with white ink today. Okay? A percentile is calculated by the number of observations below a data point. So if I scored an 85, how many people scored below an 85, divided by total observations. Okay? So ogive curves will help us look at percentiles. They will also help us go the other way and take a percentile and find a data point. What we start with when we're talking about these cumulative frequency tables or ogive curves is we start with a frequency. If I'm looking at grades and I have a frequency of 10, 0 to 10, so it maybe came from a histogram where I have any value from 0 to 10, well, there were 2 scores there. The cumulative frequency is also 2, because there are no other scores below that. However, when I get from 10 to 20, there are 8 more, which means there are 10 total. And we go through like this all the way to the point where we get, say, 60 to 70%. There were 6 people in that range, and there were 96 out of 100 people there. This total number can be any number out there. It's just however many you are studying. It doesn't have to be a nice even number for samples. I can create a cumulative frequency graph based on this information. My y-scale would be the number of people. However, there's another way to look at it that you often see, and this is your relative frequency. So the relative frequency in this range was 12 out of 100, or 12%. But the cumulative relative frequency is the sum of 2 plus 8 plus 12, or 22 out of 100, which is 22%. This is cumulative relative frequency versus the relative frequency. Cumulative means let's add it all up. Let's add up everything below it. So an ogive curve is going to look like this. This is one that used the cumulative frequency. Notice that's cumulative, not cumulative relative. If it was cumulative, it's just going to be whatever the measure is. Okay, so those were scores. This is my graph. Now, as I look at this, what I see is that over here is my, what I'm seeing here is my scores. So at 28, I'm going up, and I could hit my curve, and then I could come over and I could say there were 8 people, I know that's unclear, 8 people who scored a 20 or below. I could say that there were a 34 or below, there were 24 people. That number there is a 24. And so it's just about reading this graph, and you can come over and you can say here to there. Now if I wanted to see how many people are, where is half the class? Well, I could come up here and I could say, well, there was 32 people, so half my class is 16. So now I have 16 people, which is half the class. Come over to my graph and say half the people scored a, it looks like a 30 or below. 31 maybe. That is essentially all you have to do to read a cumulative frequency graph. You just go over, and whether it's percentiles or actual numbers or counts of people, it really makes no difference. We just want to make sure that we are going through and reading the count or the percentage on the y-axis and the score or the value on the x-axis.